Where the mining jobs are for new starters. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and today we're just going to have a look at where the best chance you have of getting a job as a new starter, and we'll also have a bit of a chat about the borders and what's going on. So first of all, let's have a look at where and how you should be trying to get yourself in. So if we have a look at a map of the mines of Australia, I've put gold in first because gold's going off everywhere. It's up to 2,600 Australian an ounce, so everybody's making a lot of money, and that's where the majority of the new starter jobs are as they are expanding. Now, as you can see with all these red dots, there's lots of work all over the country. I'm getting a lot of people being frustrated about not being able to get into WA. I understand that, but if you're on the eastern states at the moment, your best jobs or your best chance of getting in is around this area in New South Wales. They need a lot of people around there, and then the north of Queensland. That's another area that they're advertising actively for new starter roles as nipper and truck drivers and offsiders. Same down here. Of course, there's a huge amount of demand for people in WA, but unfortunately, with the really strict borders, people are scared to leave WA because they're afraid they won't be able to get back in again. It's that tight. So for the moment, if you're in Victoria and on lockdown, your best option for a job will be as soon as the lockdown finishes and you can jump up to this area here in New South Wales. Everybody around that area are having to put on new starters for all their nipper and truck driving roles because there's just no experience. Now, if we have a look at nickel, which is another metal that's going off at the moment, the nickel mines in Western Australia are all expanding and ramping up, and that's got more to do with the batteries than anything else. And with batteries, you don't just need nickel and lithium, but you also need a good dollop of copper to make it all go, and a bit of lead and a bit of zinc. So if we have a look at zinc next, you'll see the different zinc mines around Australia. Again, that's that area in the middle of New South Wales where there's a lot of activity. And the area at the top of Queensland where there's a lot of activity. There's a couple of mines in WA, one in the Northern Territory, and a couple in Tasmania. If we have a look at copper, to round out what's going into these batteries that they're putting in everything, and that's what's driving the demand of these metals is the batteries that they're putting in cars and everything that they want to try and make green. And so if you have a look at the copper mines, copper runs with gold often, so again it's the same areas, and these are the areas that you really need to be targeting if you're trying to get into the industry. It's one of those things now where people want their workforce to relocate, so you really have to think about relocating yourself to the area that the mine is operating in or out. You can relocate to the hub, so for WA, a lot of that will be Perth because a lot of these mines are all fly in, fly out, but in New South Wales, a lot of these mines, they want you to live in the big country town that's around it, so that's Orange, Parkes, Dubbo, those sort of areas. And up in Queensland, they want living in Mount Isa and Charters Towers, but they do fly in, fly out of Cairns and Townsville for some of the jobs. If you go over to Seek and type underground in, you'll see all the jobs come up. Nipper, entry level, and you'll see this too. Burncutter trying to poach experienced truck drivers from other parts of the country to bring them to WA. I'm not sure how they're going with that, but that's just going to create more demand for new starters on the East Coast if they are able to do that. They'll just steal them from the East Coast and bring them over to the West Coast and pay them more money. So that's one of the things that is going on at the moment. The other area that you can look at is exploration. As always, with exploration, you're looking for off-siding jobs and fieldy jobs, and you need to like camping for a lot of this work. It pays good money. You can see $41 an hour, and there's another one up here for between $4.50 and $5.50 a day, which is really good money for being a field assistant, but you got to like camping. So if you want to have a crack at the underground and getting into one of the big underground mines which are expanding at the moment, then I suggest you come over to the sponsors training, the Intro to Underground, and you have a look at their do-it-yourself special. It teaches you everything that the employer wants a new starter to know, goes into everything in great detail, so you're able to answer the mining questions in the interview. And lots of people make it work for them. We've had a number of people get jobs in the last couple of months, and the way that they did it was with their mining knowledge. Once you show the employer that you've learnt how their mine works and you know exactly what's going to be expected of you on site, then you genuinely have something to offer them. And that's what they're looking for. But equally, it's a double-edged sword, this one. If you present the course on your resume, chances are you'll get an interview. But if you don't impress in that interview, you're not going to get the job. So how do you impress? You're able to hold that conversation about mining with them. So you've got to study. I tell people that there's 50 hours worth of work in this. And then I also tell people that they need to go over it 3 or 4 times so they really, truly know it before they start handing their resume around. Because if you get an interview and you find yourself umming and ahhing or big long pauses between questions and answers, the employer will be awfully polite, but they won't hire. Because the people that want it, their responses are instantaneous and they've learnt it and they really do stick out. So it's easy to grab somebody that's really studied and knows what they're talking about and wants to get into the industry, opposed to somebody that's just half-arsing it. So if you do the training, make sure you study before you send your resume around. I hope you find that information helpful. And again, if you want to know where the new starter jobs are, the best place to look is for a gold mine these days, because that's where everybody's having to hire in all areas of the mine to try and boost production. And as you can see, there's lots of choice around the country and everybody's pretty much got something in their area. So I hope that information is helpful, and if you've got any questions, please send them through, and if you can share this information about and like and subscribe the channel. Thanks.